After agreeing to work together, the two teams stood on a rainy rooftop, ready to hunt. Chen Yang concentrated, and a glowing blue ball of energy appeared in her hand. She announced she had found the creature. The orb's energy expanded, showing the monster's location. Hidden in the dark, wet ruins of a chemical plant, the monstrous, multi-eyed, rat-like creature called Candle Knight was eating something. Its file noted that it liked darkness, dampness, and eating people. With the target found, the squad leader gave the command for the joint operation to start. The creature's senses were sharp, and it instantly looked up, aware of their presence. It jumped away just as an attack hit the ground where it had been. A member of the destroyer squad said the target had spotted them and ordered the team to form up in order to deploy the formation. The squad members moved with incredible speed, their cloaks blurring as they chased it. They surrounded the creature from all sides and, with their prey trapped, they shouted together, full encirclement. One of the destroyer squad members leaps into the air right above the monster, shouting the order to attack. Focusing energy into his hand, forming a short but sharp blade. He cuts the monster deep enough for blood to gush out, sending it backwards. But instead of being weaker, the monster's body began to change, its back erupting with red sores and black spikes. With a furious shriek, the enraged Candle Knight fought back, creating a vortex of dark energy. Chen Yang desperately shouted for the teams to watch out for the sound wave and dodge. Her warning was a moment too late. A powerful sonic blast erupted from the creature, sending the squad members flying back. The destroyer squad's leader managed to dodge at the last second, landing onto a nearby rooftop, eyes focused on the monster. One of his team members rushed to his side from below, asking if he was okay. The leader pushed himself up, bruised but alive. He admitted that if he hadn't moved back at the last second, his bones would have been broken. He knew they were in grave danger. If the creature stayed in the city any longer, it would cause a huge disaster. The battle took another turn as Candle Knight continued to change. It grew large, bat-like wings and let out a roar, its throat glowing with green energy. It then spewed a corrosive dark substance that filled the air with toxic green smoke. The creature aimed this blast at the ground, trying to melt the street to burrow underground and escape. One of Chen Yang's team members warned her that the monster had a corrosive dark power and that anything it touched would be destroyed. She explained that their team didn't have a high-tiered counter-attribute power strong enough to fight it. Chen Yang, however, stayed calm. She ordered her team to stay alert and not mess up the destroyer squad's formation, reminding them their main job was to gather information and assist with tactical adjustments. Meanwhile, a destroyer squad member with a dagger prepared to strike the escaping creature. Suddenly, a pair of menacing red eyes glowed from the darkness. The winged Candle Knight lunged forward, narrowly dodging an attack from a leaping squad member, and easily flings him into the air. Enraged, the destroyer squad leader yelled at his team not to let the monster escape and chase after it. The winged creature flew through the city streets, chased by the cloaked members of the Ying squad. From a high rooftop, Chen Yang and two of her team members watched. Suddenly, she sensed a sharp increase in spiritual energy concentration from the creature's direction. Realizing something important was about to happen, she ordered her team to stay outside while she followed it in by herself. The chase led them to a large, dark, abandoned factory. Inside, Chen Yang said she would scan the area's spiritual energy concentration first. The destroyer squad's leader noticed the advanced watch on her wrist. She confirmed it was a new auxiliary device developed by the association. She explains that the watch showed the anomaly energy threshold an average squad can handle is 50. Candle Knight's reading had been just 48. Suddenly, the device on her wrist began to flash wildly, the reading shooting straight to 80 and still increasing. Chen Yang shouted that the energy levels were going crazy, and that there was more than one anomaly here in the factory. At that moment, a massive shadowy form with glowing green eyes appeared in the rafters above. The entrance to the factory was sealed tight in an instant. They had been led into a trap. Chen Yang realized with horror that there was more than one creature in the factory. The Candle Knight had lured them into this place on purpose. The shadowy monstrous face of a new creature loomed behind them. The destroyer squad's leader panicked, yelling that they needed to retreat immediately. Taking charge, Qin Yang suggested a tactical retreat toward the main door to force the hidden enemy to show itself. She fired a blast of energy to clear a path, shouting for her team to follow. But before they could escape, she cried out in pain and collapsed, her senses overwhelmed by an invisible poison gas. Qin Yang suddenly found herself alone in the vast green darkness of the factory. She called out to her team, but no one answered. She knew they were nearby, but the poison had made them unable to sense or answer her. Putting the pieces together, she realized the full trap. Candle Knight had led them to this factory, which was the territory of a much more powerful creature. A giant serpent she had only faintly sensed earlier. As if summoned by her thoughts, the huge, armored head of a shadowy serpent with glowing green eyes loomed over her. She now understood that unlike Candle Knight's simple dark power, this creature's black mist was a strong poison, and they had been poisoned the moment they entered the factory. The gas paralyzes their senses and rapidly drains their spiritual energy. If they were to use spiritual power to attack, they would only wear themselves out faster. In the end, fighting back would only use up their power faster. Without energy to protect herself from the gas and poison, Qin Yang would soon become a corpse. As she collapsed to the floor, her strength gone, she despaired at the terrifying intelligence of a creature that was just playing with them. She closed her eyes, wondering if this was the end. Lying defeated on the factory floor, Qin Yang saw a single ray of light cut through the green darkness above. A flicker of hope appeared in her eyes. Suddenly, the factory ceiling exploded inward and a blinding light filled the room. Her eyes widened as a figure came down from the blast. It was Fang. He landed gracefully in the rubble, his hooded figure standing out against the glowing hole in the ceiling. He stood before the giant serpent, immediately identifying it as a dark attribute creature. Without warning, the serpent lunged, its massive fangs aimed at him. At the same time, the Candle Knight monster burst from the shadows, attacking from behind. Fang dodged the serpent's attack and came face to face with the growling, rat-like beast. As the two creatures closed in, he finally understood the full trap he had walked into. In a shocking move, Fang let the Candle Knight monster bite his shoulder. As blood splattered, he noted their surprisingly smart tactics. One creature for luring prey, the other for killing them. No wonder the spiritual energy here felt unnaturally thick to him. He taunted the rat monster latched onto him, asking if it enjoyed biting people so much. In response, he unleashed his new power. Bright blue lightning erupted from his body as he challenged the monster to taste the power of his thunder property. At the same time, he fired a massive beam of golden solar energy from his free hand, which hit the lunging serpent head-on. Now covered in crackling electricity and free from the stunned rat creature, Fang turned his full attention to the serpent, whipping out his Yang sword. He covers it in Yang energy, pointing it at the serpent, telling the snake that it was his next victim. The giant serpent lunged with a furious roar, its huge mouth opening to devour its prey. With amazing agility, Fang dodged the attack, flipping through the air while swinging his glowing golden sword. As he landed, he coolly told the monster to look at his blade, a clear challenge to the giant beast. The serpent seemed to pull back, cautious of the radiant weapon. Seeing his chance, Fang counterattacked. Leaping through the air, he delivered a powerful slash to the serpent's face, his sword wrapped in the crackling blue energy of his thunder power. The force of the blow was huge, but the result wasn't what he expected. Even though its head was completely sliced into two pieces, the snake was still alive, reattaching its divided head with ease. Fang landed on his feet, eyes wide with surprise at this strange development. The creature's split head then pulled apart completely, shedding its outer layer to reveal its true, healed form. As expected, Fang knew that the snake monster would have a follow-up move. The serpent reacted with shock and pain as the leftover thunder energy from Fang's sword ran through its body. It roared in fury as the electrical surge grew stronger, overwhelming its dark power. Watching the creature twist in pain, Fang gave a small, confident smirk. He knew he had the advantage, as he had already sensed this serpent's dark aura was denser than Candle Knight's. He then revealed his clever plan. Just now, while wielding the Tang sword and unleashing the power of internal flame, he controlled the force and retracted it. Using the sword as a carrier, he condensed and channeled the thunderbolt power in his hand into the snake's body instead. An easy barbecue for the main character. As a dark-type anomaly, Candle Knight may be eerie and sneaky, but its power was relatively weak. It was bloodthirsty, but at most it could only harm 1 or 2 humans, not having truly evolved yet. But the snake was a different story. While watching the snake burn to ashes, Fang felt a sharp pain in his shoulder where the snake had bitten him in their clash. He grunts in pain, looking down to see strange purple snake scales growing from the wound on his shoulder. He understood immediately, just as he'd thought. This was a cunning mutated species. Its intelligence has even improved. These sneak attacks from their fight early were deadly. Its poison carries a built-in paralyzing effect. It kills silently without a trace. He could feel the stab of pain from the wound, but he could see that the yang flame he used on his shoulder was healing and getting rid of the poison. With a determined look, he knew he had the perfect counter. The yang flame power could dissolve the poison. The golden sun technique would protect and heal his body, and the thunder power would purify anything left. As the energy from his powers pulsed through him, Fang recognized the benefit of his combined abilities. The mix of his yang flame and thunder powers now gave him a clear pain signal to any poison, acting as an early warning system. He knew he was lucky. For others, the serpent's sneaky poison would have been impossible to cure. He guessed that for the serpent to have grown so large, it must have relied on surprise attacks since it was probably at the 3-star Ghost Axe realm. He thought of the monster's den, filled with the skulls of its victims. With Candle Knight acting as the perfect bait, the 2 creatures had become a deadly trap even for top pioneers, which explained why so many had disappeared. But in the end, it didn't matter. As he watched the creature's huge skeleton burn to ash in his holy fire, he knew its reign of terror was over. Standing before the fire, Fang felt satisfied. His inner flame was powerful, but the triple critical hit from his new thunder power had sealed his victory. He felt confident that his fighting skills were now pretty good, even compared to other high-level pioneers. He stood silently for a moment, watching the flames burn the last of the monster. Just as he was about to reach into the fire, he paused. His eyes narrowed. Darting and looking around. He wasn't alone. Someone was still there. He turned just in time to see a figure stumbling out from the smoke, coughing from the ash. It was Qin Yang. She stood silently, covered in soot and clearly tired, but she was alive. As the smoke cleared, Fang found himself looking at the unconscious members of the other squad with Qin Yang sitting among them. He recognized her as the agent from the association and coolly told her there was no need to pretend. He added that her playing dead act needed work, which surprised her. Embarrassed, Qin Yang covered her face. Realizing this was the same powerful pioneer she had been tracking, she tried to make an excuse, claiming she woke up from the smell and wasn't faking. Fang, however, wasn't fooled. He complimented her, pointing out that while her teammates were out of energy, she was strong enough to keep a small reserve to protect herself. If she had really been unconscious, he explained, she wouldn't have been able to smell anything. Flustered, Qin Yang could only offer an awkward thank you for his compliment of her skills. In her mind, she was amazed. He had seen right through her. She had indeed kept a bit of spiritual energy for protection. But she had no idea how he had beaten both Candle Knight and the giant serpent all by himself. Noticing her embarrassment, Fang's tone softened. He told her she didn't need to cover her eyes and that he only asked her to be honest with him and keep his identity secret. Seeing she and her team were safe, he said it was getting late and he would be leaving. Qin Yang tried to call out to him, but it was too late, saying that explaining things would spoil the surprise. He jumped effortlessly through the hole he had made in the factory ceiling and disappeared into the night. As he traveled across the rooftops, Fang thought about the battle. He was glad Qin Yang didn't see him try and absorb the dark attribute just now. That discomfort and eerie coldness Fang felt from the attribute was simply disgusting. He wondered why he couldn't absorb it himself. He guessed maybe the dark energy was already gone, or his body had instinctively rejected it. Even the system didn't respond to it either. He decided to think about it later at home. Left alone in the huge, abandoned factory, Qin Yang looked up at the moonlit hole in the ceiling where Fang had disappeared. She sighed, disappointed that she hadn't gotten a good look at his face and realizing he still didn't trust her or the association. Her quiet moment was short. Acting like a squad leader again, she walked over to the unconscious captain of the destroyer squad and gave him a few slaps on his face, telling him to wake up. The man groaned and slowly opened his eyes, bruised and confused. His first thought was panic, and he shot up, shouting that they had been ambushed. Qin Yang just watched him with a calm look. The leader and his squad members then saw why she was so calm: the massive, smoking skeleton of the giant serpent. They stared in total disbelief. Confused by the scene, the leader demanded to know what happened and where the powerful yang energy came from. Qin Yang calmly explained that a powerful pioneer had rescued them. She continued her carefully planned report, stating that the pioneer was likely the person from her original mission, a very high-level individual with a yang attribute. She let her voice trail off, suggesting his appearance was a lucky coincidence. The other squad members were in complete awe, with one saying it was unbelievable that one person could defeat both monsters. Qin Yang added that she hadn't managed to recruit him yet and that he had even managed to track her back, which only made him more mysterious. Getting back to their grim job, the destroyer squad leader asked where Candle Knight's body was, as he began using a green energy technique to clean the scene. He said they needed to collect the remains for the association. As the squads began the cleanup, the destroyer squad's leader used a green orb of energy to gather the strange, dark remains left from the battle. As he stepped forward, he accidentally crushed a piece of debris on the floor, which suddenly exploded in a blast of bright blue electrical energy. He jumped back in pain, yelling at the force of the shock as Qin Yang looked on in surprise. This new discovery only made things more mysterious. The remains, which they now realized belonged to Candle Knight, were crackling with leftover electricity. The squad leader turned to Qin Yang, questioning her report. He reminded her she had said the pioneer had a yang attribute, yet this incredibly strong electrical power told a different story. The two leaders knelt to look at the electrically charged body. Qin Yang was stunned by the pure strength of the thunder power left behind, confirming it was a high-tier power. This led the destroyer squad's leader to a new idea. Maybe two high-level pioneers had appeared, one to kill the serpent and another to kill Candle Knight before leaving together. Qin Yang knew that wasn't right. She struggled with how to explain the unbelievable truth. Remembering the image of the lone pioneer holding both crackling blue lightning and roaring golden fire, she knew no one would believe that a single person could have two different top-level powers. Having just one made you a genius. Having two was almost unheard of. The impossible proof was right in front of them. The burning skeleton of the giant serpent was the work of a young flamewalker, while the electrified body of Candle Knight was the clear mark of a thunder tyrant. The combined squads could only look on in complete disbelief, wondering what kind of freak the mysterious pioneer really was.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.